Good afternoon, everyone. This is Henry Gambell with simplertrading.com, and in tonight's free video, I wanted to bring you a couple of ideas. The first of which is maybe a little bit contrarian. I don't know if it'll be for everybody, but it's a curious idea to look at on Tuesday, especially if the markets can gap higher. Now, Roku, I think, is probably destined to come up here and make 100, but it's a little bit of the thought process that when it hits 100, maybe it's time to back off. Maybe we could pin there, which just means to consolidate and trade at that price for a few days. But ultimately, this way of thinking does involve a lot of risk to the upside. But, I don't think Roku's going to get taken over next week. I mean, remind you, anything can happen. But getting down into the actual trade idea, if Roku can gap higher on Tuesday, you might entertain the idea of looking at doing something where you sell two of the $100 calls and then buy something like one of the 97s. What's interesting about this trade, especially if you can do it on a gap up, is that it should generate a pretty good credit. Doing a credit with this type of structure gives you no risk to the downside. If it can consolidate around 100, that's actually where you do the best, because what you're trying to do is sell some of those $100 calls to people that finally decide to chase it. So, that's where you're looking for prices to stay below, but rather than just being outright short the calls, you're buying the 97. So say you did this for exactly at a 20-cent credit. If you're at 100 on Friday of next week, which shortened trading week could be helpful for this too, but if you're at that psychological price point, the spread is going to be worth $3.20. So no risk to the downside, excellent profit if you can pin at 100, and then just acknowledge that if something, if it really does keep ripping, you'll either have to bail on it, maybe buy some shares, whatever it may be. But that's one strategy that I'll be thinking of as we get into next week. If you would like something that's a little bit more basic and straightforward, I think you come back to PayPal. This whole, just the squeezes that you've seen in PayPal here lately, they've been a little sloppy depending on the moment that you quote them, but generally speaking, they have resolved into higher prices, and you can see that we've got a similar signal now. So tried firing long when you got the push up into 115. It's come back and consolidated a little bit. What I would be doing with this chart, and I'm already pursuing this idea based off the idea that symmetry at 109 is trying to hold, but if it has to break and come down and test this next level around 107.50, this is also where you find the 50-day simple moving average, and I think that that could also bring in buyers. So if you want to get crafty, there's some ideas with the Roku spreads. If you'd like something that's a little bit more basic and straightforward, I think you pursue something like 60-day out, Delta 70 calls in PayPal, and risk the debit paid, allow the signals to play out, and I think that that's a good name to be buying. So I hope you find that helpful. Have a great long weekend, and we'll see you at the next free video.